Ladies and gentlemen, the man awaiting trial for the murder of Tupac Shakur, Duane Keefe D. Davis, was just sentenced to a 16 months minimum and 40 months maximum in the jailhouse fight. This is not a good look for the jury because it's all over the news in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some of this straight game.
Blackjack. Life is like those cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, Platinum Artist, Platinum Songwriter, Straight Game TV. I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Click the thumbs up button. Also subscribe to the channel. And like I said, if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news. What's good, y'all? Your boy Delray, like I said once again here. We got some breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, from Las Vegas that ties directly into the ongoing Tupac Shakur murder case. Duane Keefe D. Davis, the man indicted and accused in connection with Tupac's death back in 1996, just caught another conviction, ladies and gentlemen, and has been sentenced. This time it wasn't for the murder case, but for a jailhouse fight. For the people that don't know and the people that do. That's right. A jury found Keefe D. guilty on 2 counts of battery by a prisoner and a challenge to a fight. The judge handed down his sentence, a minimum of 16 months and to a maximum of 40 months behind bars. But here's the kicker. He's getting credit for time served. So Keefe D. does get time served in this situation involving this case. Now let's keep it all the way real, right? The jury that's eventually going to decide his fate in the Tupac murder trial for Keefe D, this doesn't look good. And you know, you got a man here who's already fighting for his life in one of the most high-profile murder cases in hip-hop history, and now the same man shows a pattern of violent behavior while locked up. The jurors are not dumb, if you will. And like a lot of times, it's not really what's going on. It's how people like to interpret things, right? It's not what really happened. It's people's interpretation of it, right? And they look at character. They look at credibility. You know what I mean? And when they hear about him, you know, throwing fists in jail, it paints a picture, if you will, along with all the other statements. And like I said, Keefe D had to defend himself. You know, I'm not saying that he shouldn't have and he didn't have to. He did. Like I said, once again, at the end of the day, and that's what real life is about from that perspective. But like I said, a lot of times it's not about what actually happened. It's how people interpret things. And that's the funny thing about life, you know? So, but, you know, for this situation, I think it really paints a bad picture because this information right here, for people who don't know Keefe D and who really don't have the insight to what's going on with the Tupac trial and everything, the lawyer change up and all of those things, if you're a layperson, you know, juror or whatever, or potential juror, and you look at this and you said, and you get chosen for this case, it's like, you know, you only know what the news is reporting from that perspective, right? A couple of weeks ago, Keefe D just recently got new attorneys, and they went on and they did a press conference, and the media was there, and so on and so forth. So, like I said, once again, Keefe D sentenced to a minimum of 16 months, a maximum of 40 months, and like I said, it really just doesn't paint a good picture. One that the prosecution will make sure, right, that you see loud and clear. So you know the prosecution will make sure that the jurors in this case know about, hey, you know, he's in jail and he did this, that, how fair that is. A lot of times it's unfair for that to be that way, but this is what happens, if you will. If you watch the Sean P. Diddy Combs case, you've seen, what prosecutors do. So let's break this down legally. In a major trial, right, especially a murder case, the defense always wants to build the narrative, right, that their client is a calm, controlled, maybe even misunderstood, if you will, right? But this conviction with Keefe D in this jailhouse fight situation kind of undercuts all of that, right? Now, prosecutors can argue this is not some peaceful old man unfairly dragged into the past, if you will, in dealing with the Tupac case. The prosecutors can say, this is a man with violent tendencies proven in court while he was incarcerated. That's dangerous for Keefe D. The narrative, not, whether it's true or not, just that narrative. And like I said, some of the things that he said, on the Art of Dialogue, as well as, Vlad videos and the things, just going back and forth with YouTubers, and like I said, once again, let's also talk about the optics, right? How it looks, right? For the families of Tupac and Biggie, this ain't just another headline. It's confirmation of the street code they've been screaming about for decades, right? That the same individuals tied to these cases are still caught up in reckless and criminal behavior, right? So when, you look at that, I'm just taking, a real look at how the broader public and people see this, not just how the, people want to see it who, like I said, have been following this case. For the people that don't know anything about it, who might be potential jurors, who just sitting home watching the news in Las Vegas on the couch, or might be getting, news feed across their computer, like I said, this is what they see, right? But check it out. But there's, but here's where the context, matters more than anything. Defense attorneys will fight like hell to keep this out of the murder trial. So I believe Keefe D's attorneys will fight like hell to keep, any information in regards to this out of the trial. But once again, you can't keep it out of the public sphere when it's reported on the news on every local channel in Las Vegas for potential jurors who might serve on the case. The defense will argue, it's unrelated, prejudicial, and could bias the jury. Still, you can't unsee what's already public. You know what I mean? You can't see that. So like I said, all of the media outlets ran this story heavy, and the jurors live in the real world. One must always keep that in mind, right? Like I said, so so here's my straight game and take on it. Keefe D's jailhouse fight sentence might be small in years to the murder charge that he's facing, right? You know what I mean? The time that he got involved in the this assault situation or this fight in jail, it might be small in years as far as the time that he received compared to the murder case that he's facing, right? But in the court of public opinion, and especially in the mind of a jury, it adds weight. And when you already are staring down a life in prison possible sentence, right? Every ounce of negative perception counts against you. That's just the way life works. We see it all the time. You know what I mean? It doesn't really have to be true, but if people are saying it enough, then people give it credibility, right? So like I said, we're going to stay on top of this one and, let you guys know what's going on. And like I said, directly in dealing with the Tupac case, as well as anything related to the case. Like I said, we got a couple of more months for the trial actually starts. But like I said, Keefe D sentenced to 16 months minimum and 40 months maximum, if you will, for this here jailhouse brawl right here involving this fight, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, tell me what you guys think in regards to this. Do you think this will spill over into the actual murder trial, or you think that the defense attorney is going to try to keep it out? But like I said, unfortunately, the jury or potential jurors have seen this. And do you think it's going to basically prejudice the jury involved in this case, right? Involving the murder trial. Like I said, your boy Delray, straight game.
They said Tupac was untouchable, but behind the walls of Rikers Island, he was just a man, wounded, watching his back, and wondering who he could trust. He survived bullets, betrayal, and isolation behind bars. But what happened inside those walls has never been told until now. In the darkest corner of Rikers, he found betrayal and a brotherhood no one saw coming. These dudes smiled in my face, then flipped and tried to kill me, and I never saw it coming. They were Puff's security, Biggie's muscle, Henchman's people, and Tupac knew exactly who sent them. This is the side of Tupac Shakur the world never got to see, told by the man who lived it with him, not in the studio, but in a 6x9 cell. The rap battles, sex and drama with female guards, the tears, the silence after Jada Pinkett's visit, and the moment Tupac almost broke. Before Death Row, before All Eyes on Me, before Machiavelli, there was Rikers. Behind the Walls with Tupac Shakur, available now on Amazon. Get your copy. Learn the truth.